Welcome. You've tuned in to Living the Miracle with hosts Michael and Raphaelle Tamura. You were meant to live a joy-filled life, and you most certainly can. In this program, you will learn simple yet powerful psychic tools to help you fulfill your soul's purpose in this world. Now, here are your hosts, Michael Tamura and Raphaelle Tamura.
Hello to all our friends around the world listening. Welcome to Living the Miracle with Michael and Raphaelle Tamura. I'm Raphaelle.
And I'm Michael.
Our purpose for bringing this show to listeners like you is for awakening souls, intuition, and fulfilling purpose. Today's show is episode number 9. I can't believe we're already on episode 9. And the title is Intuition, Just Know Your Answer. Have you ever practically turned your brain into a pretzel, trying to figure out what you're supposed to do in life, or how to deal with a difficult person at work, or what to tell a good friend who is going through a very tough time? I know that some people may even go through that every time they have to decide what to wear to a party, or what to order at a restaurant, or whether they should do this or that in any given day.
Yes. What shall I do?
If you don't have to worry, if you have gone through that, don't worry. We all do that at least some of the time. But do we have to? Is there a much better alternative to grinding our analytical gears in order to get the answers and solutions we need to live our lives each day? Today, we're going to explore the difference between intellectually trying to figure everything out and using our intuition to just simply know what's true for ourselves, whether it's experiencing who we are, determining what our next step is, where we need to go, or how to go about doing something or other. Like many others, you might think it's perfectly normal to, quote-unquote, rack your brains to seriously figure out the right thing to do about some important situation in your life. Yet, don't you find yourself going around and around and around and never really getting a satisfactory answer or solution? How often do you find yourself doing that? It's time to drop grinding down those intellectual brain cells, if you have any left, and opt for using your intuition and just know your answer.
But why? I don't know. Could you explain that? Draw a diagram. I don't know what to do. I don't know. Well, shall I do this? Shall I do that? Oh, sorry. Albert Einstein, considered to be the greatest physicist of the 20th century, said, intuition is the only important thing. Whoa, Nelly. That's a statement from a scientist, right? People consider him to be a real top scientist kind of a person. But then we have Alan Alda. I'm sure many of you know him, the incredibly successful, respected, and very funny actor, director, screenwriter, author, educator, and pioneer in communicating science, being a bridge of communication between hardcore scientists and the rest of us. Well, he said, at times you have to leave the city of your comfort and go into the wilderness of your intuition.
I love that one. You should repeat it.
Yeah, okay. He said, at times you have to leave the city of your comfort and go into the wilderness of your intuition. What you'll discover will be wonderful. What you'll discover is yourself. That's pretty profound. And isn't that interesting? There's another very successful person. Alan's kind of on the other side of the hardcore scientists. He himself considered himself not to be any kind of a scientist, but loved to study science. But he discovered later on, and after he was very famous as an actor and everything like that, he discovered that, he wanted to listen to these scientists, but the scientists were having trouble. They were so involved in their area of expertise. They used, big words, and they start in the middle of some concept that none of the rest of us understand. So he started this whole thing to get science to be communicative with the rest of those who are not hardcore scientists. And he's done an amazing job with that too. But for someone like that to go, hey, I know it's tough to leave the city of your comfort. For most people, especially in the Western world, that city of your comfort is intellectual, right? You're a body going, I'm this person, and I think this, and therefore I think that, and therefore I am. But no, it's really the opposite, isn't it? If you weren't first, you wouldn't be thinking or anything. Oh yeah. So then when you do venture out into the sometimes scary wilderness of your intuition, what you discover is yourself. No wonder Albert Einstein said there's nothing more important than intuition. I, for one, can definitely vouch for both of them. That and what they said about intuition, because I've lived with intuition most of my life. And the reason I say most of my life is I was pretty much living almost totally by intuition until I was in about the later part of fourth grade, the beginning of the fifth grade in school. Well, then, of course, I had a lot of difficulties in school until that time. What changed? Well, I was really looking for communication because intuitively, I knew communication was the most important thing at least for me. I didn't know about everybody else, but it was the most important thing for me is communication. But communication is a two-way thing, isn't it? At least in this world, it's a two-way thing. So what I found time and time again is when I tried to communicate with people, I wasn't successful. It's like, whoa, they don't hear me. In fact, a lot of times they don't even see who I am. And that started right from birth. Some of you may recall what it was like being a baby, but I do. A lot of it I recall trying to talk to somebody, but I didn't understand that. They didn't understand. Wah wah, ga ga, goo goo. I was speaking a language of spirit, but no one else that I was around did that. Oh, okay. They either thought I was cute, or they thought I was noisy, or I thought I wanted something. Well, yes, I wanted something, but it wasn't the milk. It wasn't changing the diaper a lot of times. It was communication. So then, by the time I got to fifth grade, and I had a very intellectual teacher in fourth grade, I start to figure out, I start to get at that what I was being expected to do, in class at least, was to intellectualize. And what that meant for me was make up a good reason why I knew and how I knew what I knew already. Because I found, especially taking tests in early school, grade school, if I got the right answer and the teacher comes along and says, "Oh, Michael, how did you get this answer?" I go, "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know? You got the right answer." "Well, I don't know. I just got the answer." "Well, where did you learn this answer?" "I don't know. I just got the right answer." That was not okay. That gave me not a passing grade. It also often made the teacher suspect me that I was cheating, that I was copying somebody else's answer.
Many psychics go through this as children, by the way.
Yeah, and I wasn't. I just got it right off the top of my head. Boom. The answer is, well, especially, true or false, multiple choice. Those are easy. It's just, oh, that's a C. But I didn't know what the, actual mechanism and why you're supposed to say C is the right answer. So anyway, I went through a lot of that, and so finally I'm going, I got to figure out how to communicate. And then I observed what everybody else was doing, and the teacher asked, "Well, Sally, how did you get this answer?" "Oh, I studied it, and I read it in chapter 12, and it's because this part of the history was that way, and this went this way, and so forth and so on." "Oh, okay." I figured I could do that. I'll kind of take what I've read and put it into some explanation. And the teacher goes, "Very good, Michael." I didn't do any different things. I just still knew the answer, but I made an explanation. I gave a reason to it. So it's kind of backwards. I knew I was backwards, but it got me good grades, and I found not only did the teachers like me and gave me good grades, but the students, my classmates, started to communicate with me a lot more. I know many people have difficulties using their intuition. They believe that either they're not intuitive because they see or hear people like me or Raphaelle talking about, "Oh yeah, you just know these things and you know those things." And they go, "Well, I don't know those things, so I must not be intuitive." No, that's not correct. Everybody is intuitive. There's no such thing as a person who's not fully intuitive. Or sometimes some people, they suspect they're intuitive, but they don't have the confidence and the certainty to trust what they know and follow through with action. They go, it's one thing to know what I'm supposed to do or know what to say, but then I'm not going to say it because I'm afraid that I'm going to get embarrassed, humiliated. What if I'm wrong? Things like that. So I suspect most of you listening to this show, you know you're intuitive. You want to be intuitive, but you might not have quite the same level of certainty that we have in trusting our intuition, what we know through intuition. So a lot of times you might find yourself kicking yourself after the fact where you go, "Gee, I should have said that. I knew that's what I should have said." Or "I knew that was the answer, but I didn't use it." Or "I knew I should have turned left instead of right, but I didn't because the GPS said to go straight." So you use that against yourself and think, oh, or sometimes you do have a knowing that, okay, I'm going to do this, or I say that, and everybody laughs at you saying, "Oh, that's so stupid." And you get embarrassed, humiliated even, or your feelings hurt, and you go, "Never going to do that again." Because I was wrong. My intuition was wrong. That's not true. I've never found my intuition. Intubation is what made me not be able to speak correctly, and I lost my voice and everything. But intuition, I've never found it to be wrong. And even when everybody else said, "Oh, see, you followed your intuition, you went the wrong way, you did the wrong thing." No, a lot of times later on, I discovered, oh, had I not gone quote, the wrong way, I would have been in big trouble. I could have gotten hurt. I could have been killed, whatever. And had I not said what I said, later on, that person, sometimes months, even years later, it changed their lives for the better. And so you can't jump to conclusions about intuition.
Yeah, another thing is that sometimes someone will deny what you say to them and say, no, that's not true, when it actually is true. And when you have an intuitive hit, you have to stay with your certainty about it. It's sometimes difficult, but a lot of times somebody will come back later to you and say, well, you were really right about it.
Yeah, and one of the things about intuition is my personal definition for intuition is having certainty in the divine, in divinity, in the limitlessness of spirit. And that limitlessness of spirit, our beingness, is where all the answers are, all truth, all information, awareness. It's there. It's not in our intellect. It's not in our memory banks. And when we come back in the next part, we'll really get into that. But just to get the idea introduced, it's like using your computer. Your body is like your computer, okay? And we all know, when we have computers and more, we download information from the cloud. The cloud is not in the computer. But if you know the passwords, if you know how to log in, if you have a correct Wi-Fi and the right vibration frequency matched with your computer, then you can access this vast pool of information. Some of it's information you put up there, but others, you don't know what it is, but you look it up and you're able to know it. You're able to find out. So then, intuition works the same way. It's about learning to use the device, the computer, the body mind, if you will. And if you have matched the right frequency, like on a Wi-Fi, you can't see Wi-Fi, right? But it's not connected with a cord with a computer. No, it goes through the airwaves, but it's energy. But it gets the information from the cloud. If you download it into your computer, it's on inside your computer, but that one stays the same even if somebody updates the information on the cloud. You won't have that update until you download that. But on the cloud, you can get the current, correct information. That's using your intuition, accessing the cosmic cloud.
Mm-hmm. That's a great example. Well, we'll continue exploring using intuition to get to your truth, your own answers, rather than staying on the treadmill of trying to intellectually figure your life out after the short break. Also, we will be taking phone calls. If you like, it's 1-888-346-9141. We will be right back. Hey there. Thanks for listening to the show. If you're ready to take the next step on your spiritual path, develop your intuition, heal your spirit, and fulfill your life's purpose, please visit livethemiracle.com, our learning sanctuary for the soul. It's so great having you all here. We are talking about intuition. Just know your answer. And we are going to be taking callers during this segment.
Yes, this is the 1-888 intuition hotline.
For the moment, anyway. Absolutely. Well, before we get going here, I wanted to mention to you, in case you're a new listener and you'd like to connect with us a little bit more than just through this show, which we so enjoy doing, our website is michaeltamura.com, and that's Michael, T as in Tom, A, M as in Mary, URA.com. And we have a beautiful brand new website, and we'd love to have you sign up to be on the mailing list and start to find out what our activities are. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later in the show. So, Michael, you want to make one more comment before we take a call?
Sure. Well, we're talking about the analogy of computers, Wi-Fi, and the cloud, where we download information from and upload information. And it works very, very similar. Intuition works the very similar way. Everybody is 100% fully intuitive. Just like, nowadays, all computers, you can access the cloud. But just because you have a great computer and you can access the cloud, you have the equipment, but you have to have the know-how. You have to be able to access the Wi-Fi. So if you don't have a router handy, or you're not in a Wi-Fi zone, then you won't be able to access the cloud. Intuition's similar. Intuition means you not only have a body that's wired for intuition, which all bodies are, you have the Wi-Fi access. And once you have the Wi-Fi access, you could easily access many parts of the cloud, especially if it's under your name, so to speak. But even so, a lot of places you'll have to have a password. You have to log in and have a password before you can get to the information itself. You've already accessed the cloud, but you're trying to access specific information, and that's like intuition. You've accessed the cosmic cloud, the source, the spirit source of all information, of all knowingness, of all abilities and awareness. But when you're trying to apply it specifically to some particular question or some aspect of your life, sometimes you need a password. Sometimes you need to reset your energy and space. You have to tune in, and the reception has to be good. Where we are sometimes, when it's a stormy day, our internet doesn't work so well. So our things get dropped, and we have to reconnect up. But similar to intuition, if you're so inundated with everybody else's energies and thoughts and feelings, and you think it's yours and you're struggling with it, it's a cloudy, stormy day, and your internet connection isn't very good. So you don't access the cloud, even though you are accessing it. There's too much static, and you can't make out heads or tails about what the actual information is. All right, so we got all kinds of callers calling in. You want to pick one?
Well, let's start with Valerie, since she waited a long time, from Brownsport, Washington.
Yay, Valerie.
Hi there. Hi.
Hi, Valerie.
My call. Hi, Raphaelle. Hi, Michael.
Hi there.
Hi there. I love your show, and I am considering embarking on on a 2-year clairvoyant training program, and I'm also considering animal communication, which I'm a huge, lover of animals, and I'm just wondering, basically, if I can do them both at the same time, if I should do them, if I have an aptitude to do them, and I would just love your input.
Okay, first quick answer is yes and yes and yes. But the doing it simultaneously, what I get is that if you do at least start the clairvoyant training, wherever and however you're going to do that, and then once you get that going and get at least the basics going, then you can, when you feel ready to add the specific animal communication part, I think that might work better than starting both at the same time. Or do the whole clairvoyant training, or most of it, first until you're quite grounded in it and you feel a lot more certainty in yourself and working on a clairvoyant. Clairvoyant also, once you start working on a clairvoyant level, your clairaudience, your telepathy, all those things are going to start to turn on more. So when you're communicating with animals, it's going to be incredibly clairvoyant. The animals communicate with feelings and pictures. And so when you're already in tune with animals on a feeling level, and then you start to have the clairvoyant aspect, it's gonna really expand and enhance your abilities as an animal communicator. You'll be a more clairvoyant, clairaudient, telepathic animal communicator.
Yes, during my clairvoyant training many, many years ago in the early 1980s, I had a dog, and at the time, I naturally started being able to communicate with her more. She had very severe epilepsy, and suddenly we were able to communicate in that way of letting me know when she was about to have an attack and so on. And we got it to the point where we could actually stave them off because I used some of my healing techniques and so on her. So it will be something that's going to naturally come in as part of your clairvoyant training, but specific training with animal communication is a little bit different than clairvoyant training. It's sort of an expansion of it. So I concur with Michael that one after the other would be probably better.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, it's going to be your program, and
all right.
Yes. I've already taken just one class from you, which I greatly loved. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure that I had the abilities before I start down this path.
Yes, you have it all in terms of a great love for animals. Essentially, you have a great love for all beings. But animals, they can bark and bite, but they don't talk back.
Right.
Yeah, they don't put you down. They communicate straight. They're honest. They're not dishonest like human beings can choose to be. And that's why you start to veer towards animals, because they're so much cleaner, and you wanted to communicate with animals and establish that connection here on earth with that which is divine.
You're going to have a great time.
Yes.
Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
You're
welcome.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, we're going to take a caller.
Yuri in Chicago.
Yuri.
Chicago.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Raphaelle. Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Yuri.
It's really nice. It is a blessing having this radio show available to so many people. Thank you for that. I'm really excited about it. I would like to have some communication in regards to what is my next step in enjoying more of who I am as a spirit. And the reason I am asking this, it's been quite a journey, long journey for me, as you can see. And when I am in my space, I feel really wonderful. But I am still having a challenge with what you mentioned. People just, it's overwhelming. The energies that when I'm feeling happy takes over me, and then I lose my space. So
yes.
How could I be more gracious about it?
Michael just answered your question. Laugh a lot, and you sound like you actually have that ability.
Yeah, you have a lot of amusement and a lot of joy. You're very, very bright. But the thing has been all your life, in this lifetime, you've been so sensitive to energy, to psychic energy, and not having had quite the amount of validation from your family and whatnot when you're growing up about what was even more prominent in your awareness and your mind than what people were saying or physically doing. You were so tuned in on a psychic, much more subtle level in your relationships with everybody. You were just overwhelmed almost all the time, and you might have felt like you were shy, you didn't want to be around a lot of people or things like that, or when you were, you had difficulties in saying what you really wanted to say and things of that nature, mainly because you didn't know how to handle the overwhelming amount of energy. You still have that, but you now are on the right track of learning to find your own space and be able to release the energies and go, oh yeah, what I was feeling, what I was thinking wasn't mine, and I could now, just like you said, when you're in your own space and just really experiencing yourself, you're a very happy person. Now, can I ask you, where were you born and raised?
Yes, I was born in South America, Peru.
In Peru?
Yes.
Ah.
So,
yes.
But my background, as you remember, I am Japanese.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I was seeing. I understand. I see those Japanese pictures. They're very strict, and there's a lot of perfection, and literally in your aura, they look like squares, kind of,
boxes.
Boxes.
3D boxes.
and you're still, there's a good portion of you as a soul that's kind of boxed in by all the perfection, the expectations, a lot of expectations that you grew up with. So you're constantly bouncing off of them. So it's like you're having to live in a small box or closet, and every time you get excited and you go, yay, and you wave your hands around, your hands hit the side of the box and it hurts. And it's a little bit like that on the psychic level inside your own mind. So, but you're on the right track. You're learning to let go of those pictures, let go of those perfection. And when you have those thoughts of perfection, which is also, and between the perfection and expectation pictures from other people that you grew up with, that box is very tight, where using your own intuition, what you really asked about is to get to know with clarity and certainty what your next step is. Well, you know that, but when you tap into your intuition, you're bouncing off of the walls, the restrictive walls of expectation and perfection and responsibility. And once you do that, you disconnect from what you're picking up on an intuitive level, because you start to worry about, well, what if this isn't right? And is this the exact right thing? And how do I do it? And
am I going to upset anyone?
Yeah, am I going to upset anybody? What if people don't like me if I do that? And so forth and so on. That's what gets in the way. Your intuition is perfectly fine. And I see that you already know what your next step is. And the other thing, this will help a lot of other listeners listening in, is that a lot of times when people think they're using their intuition to find their next step, they think they're supposed to get this download of the entire next 10 years and where the destination is and how you're going to get there, and with a color map and schematic diagram. And it's not like that at all. Once in a long while, when it's the correct time and place for that, it happens. But most of the time, this is my experience and my experience of watching everybody else, most of the time, when you start to use your intuition, especially in the beginning of a next major part of your path, is step by step. So you get intuitive hit, like, I should call so-and-so. And it could be like, why should I? I'm so busy right now. I don't have the time for that. And I don't know why I'm going to call that person anyway. So a lot of times people dismiss it. But I generally don't dismiss those things. I get the intuitive knowing of simple one-step thing like that. Or I need to go turn on the TV. I don't know how many times, I'm not a TV watcher, but now it's more, I got to go on the internet and check out the news or whatever. And when I do that, it's always something that pertains to me, very specifically. Or I get an answer to a question I've been mulling around. And so that's how intuition works most of the time. Little steps that seem out of context, that you don't even know why. I get so often, huge part of my communication relationships with people start, where when they're a stranger and I get the intuition, I need to talk to that person, even if it's in a public place with 1,000 people milling around.
Yeah, Michael told some great stories about that in former shows of ours.
Yeah, and so pay attention to that and follow the little things, and then don't judge it right after you follow it, saying, "Oh, that didn't work." No, wait and let it evolve, because once you start following the next step, you'll get another step. And once you follow that, you'll get another step and another and another.
And the other thing is not letting your mind go, why is that the answer? And why is that the answer? Because that'll lead you to an intellectual knot.
Yeah, and that intellectualizing, why is that, it's a strategy of the ego not to be able to have your true answer. Okay? So we got to move on here. Thank you very much for calling, Yuri. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Raphaelle. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
So we're about to go on our break in another minute and a half or so. I'd like to mention, we've talked about the PGS movie, PGS Intuition is Your Personal Guidance System, a wonderful movie by Bill Bennett, which is still making the rounds around the U.S. And there are several showings. One is happening in San Diego on April 3rd, and James Van Praagh, who is also in the movie, along with Michael. But James Van Praagh will be there to do the Q&A with Bill Bennett. Denver on Wednesday, April 4th, and also there'll be a screening of this wonderful movie on Friday, April 27th at the New Living Expo in San Mateo, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area.
And we'll be there and have a booth number 328, and I'll also be speaking just a little bit before the PGS screening.
Yes.
And I'll be on the Q&A panel there too.
And you can find the PGS information at pgsthemovie.com, and that will take you to the places you need to go, including the trailer of the movie, which is pretty wonderful. It's a great movie if you haven't seen it or if you'd like to see it again. One final thing before we go on the break is that we're going to be in the LA area in Calabasas, California, May 5th and 6th. Michael's going to give a 2 days of seminar. The overall title is Imagine That. Use your imagination and clairvoyance to transform your life.
And imagination is very important to use your intuition.
Yes, so we will go on break now. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and we're talking about intuition. Just know your answer. And we have a bunch of people lined up to talk to, so we're going to go ahead and take Joshua from Idaho.
Hello, Michael. Hi, Raphaelle.
Hi, Joshua. You have a question for us?
Hey, this is only my second program that I've listened to, and the first one was how to ground yourself and to take all the energy that's in your space that doesn't belong to you and get rid of it, and then to fill your energy back up.
Yes.
So you didn't have to take so many coffee breaks, is what you had said. I found that to be an awesome experience. Like I said, it's my first time ever doing anything like that.
Fantastic.
And I was just wondering what you guys saw. And you were also talking about how to be in the center of your head and not necessarily being in your mind, but you explained it as being in the driver's seat of a car.
Yes.
And so I was just wondering what you guys saw.
You want to know what we see with you practicing those things. Yes. Well, as you said, you can tell the difference, major difference, when you start grounding. With your grounding, it's what it's doing with you, first and foremost, is you're a very bright being. You're a very bright soul that loves the truth. You're always trying to get to the truth of the matter. And that's one of the reason for that is because you love freedom. You know that saying, truth shall set you free. It's an old saying, but it's very true. And why you love to get to the truth of the matter, and whatever it is you're doing in life, small things and big things, you love freedom. And in order to be free, you have to have truth. Truth is what sets us free. And so that's what I'm seeing. The first thing that's starting to happen as you've been practicing grounding, finding your own space and being in the center of your head. Being in the center of your head is that place of neutrality where you're not engaging, where you're not going after or trying to hold on to or resisting or fighting anything that you're experiencing. And what I see, the minute you start to ground yourself and practice being more attentive to being aware in the center of your head, you start to let go of what you've been resisting energetically in the past. Now, for you who loves the truth and who loves and wants more than anything to be free, to have the experience of freedom, a lot of times you've had to do that by thinking that you have to isolate yourself and be by yourself and not be around other people so you can be free. Nobody's telling you what to do. But what you're starting to discover, the minute you can start to ground yourself and be in the center of your head, be neutral and not put resistance towards things, especially toward people's energies, you're finding that, you can experience a greater degree of freedom and greater degree of being true as yourself, even when you're around other people, even when you're in a, not a easy situation in life. And what I see is that part of you, that bright light, is starting to have more clarity because you're not fighting the other stuff that heretofore you've experienced as external control. Somebody else's, wanting to tell you what to do or make you be the way you're not. And so you don't have to fight that anymore. You just have to ground. You just have to release the energy when it comes in and you go, I don't like this energy. But let's not resist it. I'll just put it in a rose and imagine exploding it. I feel lighter. I feel freer. So this is one of your next steps. Does that make sense, Joshua?
Absolutely. I think you saw exactly what I'm going through right now.
Because you're great. I really like you. You're really a agent of transformation, which and on the other side, you've been a freedom fighter, a person who stands up for justice and freedom for all, not just for yourself, but you're interested in it for everyone. And that's where you've had a lot of angst earlier in your life, because in this world, that seems to be the first thing that either people give up or other people try to take away from people. And you've been angry about that and you've been trying to fight it. But this lifetime, you came in to learn how to be free, how to really experience your own self and your spiritual freedom in relationship to all the controls and limitations and seeming restrictions that are prevalent in this world. So you're on the right track.
I think this is a good time to mention, since I mentioned the website just before the break, if you go to our website, michaeltamura.com, and at the top there are, little buttons, and one of them says free stuff. Click on that button and look for the spiritual toolkit, because what I see as one of your next steps is to keep going and learn the rest of the tools that go with what we're talking about in this show that goes quite a bit deeper. And I think you'll really enjoy taking those next steps, and we'll love hearing from you sometime again how you're doing with all that. Yeah,
the spiritual toolkit will be very helpful for your practices. And then in a couple of months, we're going to start up a bunch of teleclasses for people listening to this show, and everything can join up and learn much more in depth all the things we're talking about on the show.
Yes. So you would watch for the items that we call open to everyone. The ones for SHAPE are our advanced group who've been working with us a long time.
Years and years.
Yes.
Lifetimes.
And we can talk about that some other time. But thank you very much for calling, Joshua. I think we need to move.
Thank you.
Yeah,
yes,
thanks.
Great to have you. Sheena from Eugene, Oregon.
Hi, guys. Hi, Michael. Hi, Raphaelle.
Hi, Sheena.
Hi.
Great to have you on the show. Great.
Good. I really just wanted to let you guys take a look and let me know what you see. And first, just want to say thank you to both of you for what you all do and what you give.
Thank you. Well, it's great to take a look at you, Sheena, because you're very, very creative. And this is a important part of using one's intuition. Is before the break, I think I mentioned that imagination is such an important part of using your intuition, and creativity and imagination have to go hand in hand. So, being as creative as you are, you've been also very imaginative. You have a big imagination, but where sometimes you were restricted growing up is you were too imaginative for some people, including some teachers and so forth and so on, who were very strict and regimental and all that kind of stuff. And being imaginative means you're living out of the box most of the time. But when you get into trouble is when you're around people who want you to be in their box. And here's the rules, here's what I expect from you, and blah, blah, blah. And when you hit that, you have a little difficult time. And they have a difficult time with you because they can feel that you're out of the box. And they get threatened if you're not going to follow the rules, follow the tradition, follow, what it's supposed to be. And so that's, you have a level of rebellion in you too, where when you start to get enclosed in that, you go, no way, you're not going to box me up. And then you find that it's hard for you to relate, have relationships that are long lasting because they get threatening, they start to close in on you. So you go, okay, I'm out of here. Or you'll do something to get them out of there. And then you feel lonely. Like, gee, I wish I can have a lot more friends and a lot more people that I can truly communicate with. Well, when you start to learn to use your intuition and follow through and not be the effect of other people's energies, you're going to be able to have great relationships with just about anybody, even if you don't particularly like them. It's not a problem. You're going to enjoy the communication and the relationship you have with each person because you're going to be able to let them be as they are, and you're able to trust yourself that, oh yeah, this person's in kindergarten. I'm in, 6th grade. So, of course, this person's not going to be able to communicate with me at the same level as I would like to. But once you start to do that and not chase people away because it's, they are too restrictive, then you can also start to attract people who are on your wavelength and who you're going to find to be, oh, this is great friendship.
Wonderful. Yes, I agree.
All right. Well, thank you. We got to move on and finish up this show. And so thank you very much for calling, Sheena.
Thanks, guys. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
You too. Yes. It's interesting that one of the things that Michael taught me a long time ago, we've been together for over 30 years, married, I think, going on 29. And he taught me that being able to really say hello to anyone who is around you, it doesn't matter who, getting out of that teenage mindset of the person has to dress like you and that sort of thing, being able to see a person for who they are.
So for all of you listening and wanting to use your intuition more and have more certainty, one of the things when you're tapping into your intuition, that is certainty. And when you tap into something else, if it's desire-based, if you're wanting, hurry up, I want to hurry it up, I want to do this, I want to get that, I want my next step now, and things like that, that's not intuition. whatever you get from that place is going to be much more from the ego. But when you get it from the intuition, there's all the time in the world. There's no hurry.
That's right.
Because intuition comes from the timeless and the limitless. Okay?
Well, we're getting close to the end of the show. So please, please tell your friends about Living the Miracle Internet Radio Show. Let them know that if they missed the live show on Wednesdays, they can go to our show page on voiceamerica.com, Empowerment Channel online, and listen to any of our past shows from the archives. We hope to see all of you and many of your friends and family around the world next Wednesday, April 4th, for our episode on Know Yourself to Fulfill Your Purpose. And also let us know what your experience is with our show by emailing us at livingthemiracleradio@gmail.com. Until then, live joyfully, use your imagination, and express your inner being. This is Living the Miracle with Michael and Raphaelle Tamura.
Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.
In every drop of rain awaits a rainbow. For every chance it has to grow.